Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in once again, and welcome to kind of the first episode of the race shop build. Bridget and I purchased our very first home, which you can see behind me now, and it came with this awesome 30 by 40 foot race shop. And it's pretty bare bones at the moment. It's basically just a metal shell with some wooden frame posts in there. So all fall we have an awesome race shop build series coming for you guys, and this is episode 1 of the actual build. Obviously the last episode I kind of went over the plans and everything and showed you guys the property and showed off the barn a little bit, but this is really going to be the first episode where we get to work. And the first thing on our agenda is a little bit of a demolition, which I'll show you guys in a minute. And then we're also going to be putting in an awesome epoxy floor. It's really gonna set this build off in the right direction. And obviously we wanna do the flooring first before we absolutely pack this thing full of dirt bikes and fun toys. So yeah, let's go check out the stuff that we're gonna be demoing, and then let's just get to work. So if you missed our last video, this is what we're working with right here. Nothing too crazy yet, but a super solid foundation to make a pretty awesome race shop out of. Little size reference with the dirt bike there. We'll back way up so you guys can kind of get a look at how much room we're working with. I think that is the wall that we're gonna put all the cabinets and stuff on and line the dirt bikes up. 1, 2, 3, however many we end up having. And also right now it's kind of like a woodworking shop because we are doing a ton of projects in the house, which you might be able to see it on my hat, but I have a bunch of like drywall dust and everything on me. So if I look a little bit dirty and grimy today, it's because I am. But you can see behind me here, the previous owners kind of started to frame in like a stud wall. I think they had plans to do some electric and stuff in here, and then I don't know, they just decided they didn't want to anymore. So we're kind of left with this like half finished stud wall. As you can see, they didn't really do it over here. And the stud wall is a little bit funky. Like for example, I just want to use the post as the first stud and then go 16 inches over, 16 inches, 16 inches, because they're 8 feet apart. So 16 inches will fit perfectly and meet up with that one for the final stud in this section. I'm not really sure what they did here, but they kind of went like 4 inches over on this side and then 20 inches over on this side to make the 24. I don't really know why they didn't utilize that middle post. Beyond that, you can see that some of the studs are nice and curved. Like it looks like they did this a long time ago, and these have been sitting here for a while, and so a few of them are curved really bad. I think most of them look pretty decent, so I'm gonna do my best to save as many as I can, but I think some of them are just going to hit the scrap pile or get chopped up and used for other projects. But anyways, I got my tools over here. Got the big sledge, crowbar, and crucially some Alpine Stars gloves. So I guess without further ado, I'm gonna set up the tripod, put the camera down, get my hands dirty. That is the last of it. Stud wall is out. Actually, it just makes this place look a whole lot better. This is kind of the corner where all the tools and stuff went, and then that's the corner where all the other stuff went, mostly wood. Thing looks way better now without that stud wall in, so it kind of gives you an idea of how clean it's gonna look once the insulation and drywall and everything is in. So, super rad. You might be able to tell it's a little bit darker out now. Took quite a while to get that done. I mean, it's not a very hard task, but as you can see, it's quite a bit of wood back there. So luckily I was pretty much able to save all of the wood. So I really am not gonna need to get too many 2x4s once I go to rebuild the stud wall. Of course, they did 24 inch on center and I'm doing 16. So obviously I'm gonna have to buy some, but at least I can reuse pretty much all those boards, even the wavy ones. I've got some cinder blocks here that I might set on them for a couple days, try and straighten those out. So this is job done for the day. I'm gonna come over here bright and early with the trailer and just kind of put all this extra stuff in there, probably put all the wood in my van, bring my bike back to my parents' house for the time being, just so that this place is completely empty and ready for them to do their magic. I'm gonna put my hand over the camera, and when I take it off, it will be tomorrow magically with the power of YouTube. So see you guys in a couple hours. Wowee. Not only did the power of YouTube allow us to time travel, but it also cleaned my barn for me. Bright and early on the morning that the boys are gonna come over and start working on this floor. This is the first look you guys have gotten at it actually cleaned out and looking real nice. Obviously, before I moved in, I got to see it empty, but this is your guys' first look at it. You can definitely get a much better look at the potential here. It is just super clean, ready for flooring and ready for us to get this build underway. I think today they are just going to do a bunch of grinding and then they're gonna lay down the primer. So there's a couple little spots that need some filling as well. There's this crack that goes all the way down it. And then where I took the baseboards out, the nails kind of created some little craters. So they're gonna spend today patching that, grinding, and then laying primer down. And then tomorrow they'll actually put the epoxy flooring down. I think it's got a cure for like 24 hours or something like that, and then we will be all ready to start putting stuff back in here, get the stud walls up, get the insulation, wiring, and all that done. This thing's gonna take off quick and just in time because it's getting a little bit chilly out here in Michigan. All right, guys, so here we are, sometime later. All the footage so far in this video was filmed anywhere between like a month and a half to 2 months ago. And in the time between then and now, to put it lightly, things did not go well. I think I could say it's been a nightmare. That would be a pretty accurate way of describing the experience that I've had with this whole epoxy floor experience. And we'll cover all that. I don't know how much of the previous footage I actually put in here. Obviously, the goal of this video is not to name drop or shame anybody who was involved with it. I know a lot of you guys will be wanting me to drop names and company names and stuff like that. You guys gotta understand, that's just a bad look on my part. I don't intend on doing any of that. If you guys are in the Toledo, Ohio area and you're thinking about hiring somebody to do your epoxy floor, you can contact me directly and I will help steer you in the right direction. The goal of this video is just to share some of the problems and things that were done incorrectly on this floor so that if you guys are looking to potentially epoxy your floor yourself, maybe it'll help you make the right decisions and do things the correct way so that you can avoid some of the problems that I have experienced. Before we get into it, you guys can see the floor behind me a little bit and it might look okay from that angle, but I'll pick the camera up and show you guys the floor so you can see what I'm talking about. And then we'll get into the whole storyline and share each attempt at this floor with you guys and what exactly went wrong. So yeah, let's take a look at the floor right off the rip. It'll be interesting to see how much of this is picked up on camera, but it kind of looks like it's doing a pretty good job of it. You can see wavy, just kind of globby stuff going on here. There's weird lines in it. Pretty much the whole thing is just wavy and it kind of took on this dull finish here. The whole floor is supposed to be like a glossy, smooth, shiny finish. I'm not really sure what all this orange peeling is going on, but I mean, I think most of you know what an epoxy floor is supposed to look like, and it's supposed to be like glass and really shiny and just beautiful, you know, pleasing to look at. And I would say this is just not that. Here, this angle does a good job at showing just kind of what the floor is looking like right now. Just for some reason that did not happen, and you can see like this random spot right here is still really sticky, and this job was done over a week ago. You can see the lines that they patched between the slabs of concrete here and here are showing. This is actually the 5th attempt that they made at this. Like I said, I'll go over everything that happened. And finally, once I showed them this, I mean, I don't know how anyone could call this an acceptable floor, but basically they just told me that this is what it is and my expectations and standards are too high to be accomplished. I don't know, man. I feel like my standards are pretty low or average. It's pretty frustrating that that was the conclusion of this. I mean, I can literally take my finger and like rub the top layer off and it comes off in little like epoxy rolls. So something's not right here. And it's pretty frustrating that they just won't make it right. So you guys can see how things have been going here and why there's been such a delay in this video. That was not the goal at all. I mean, obviously I dropped the first barn video like, yeah, almost 2 months ago, and the plan was to just knock this thing out while it was still nice and warm. You guys can see now I'm fully, you know, fully covered up because it's getting super cold out. I still have to do the walls, insulation, electric, all that. I couldn't do any of that because the floor hasn't been, you know, I haven't been able to walk on it or bring anything in here. So it's really been unfortunate, and I will run you guys through exactly what happened, and hopefully it'll help you guys avoid some of those issues yourself. Right from the rip, I think just inadequate prep work was done, and you can see, I'll throw a picture up there of what the first coat looked like. You can see all the little blast marks in it, and you can see just every stripe where they went back and forth with the concrete blaster. it didn't look great, you know. This is how an epoxy floor is supposed to look. Right off the rip, I was planning on epoxying the floor myself, so I was watching a bunch of DIY epoxy floor videos from people who had never done epoxy floors before, and they just got like a kit from Lowe's, and their results were coming out much, much better than this. So I just hit the guys up. I was like, hey, would you guys mind like coming back out and taking a look at this? I just feel like it's not quite right. And they did come out and agreed that it did not look good. And so their solution was to sand it, which you can see that now, and then put a second layer over it, and they were hoping that that was gonna cover all of the divots. Here's what the second coat looked like. Obviously, I would say it maybe helped 20% or so, but you can still see all the imperfections. And once again, I asked them to come back. They came back, looked at it, and agreed that it needed to be completely ground down with a diamond tipped grinder, completely smooth again, re-primed and re-epoxied. And so here are pictures from that. This is after they did the grinding. You can see it actually looks pretty dang good. It's nice and flat and smooth. I was very excited about attempt number 3. They then laid down primer and an epoxy coat. And here's a picture right after they got done with the epoxy. Bridget and I hadn't moved in until this week. So anytime they were here doing stuff, I was not here. So they sent me this photo right after the epoxy was done, and I mean, obviously I was hyped on it, man. They finished up and left for the night, and when I came in the morning, I discovered that they had left the garage door open about a foot. Some issue that they ran into with the epoxy going past the barrier where the garage door comes down. They didn't want to close it on the epoxy, and so they left it open a little bit. You guys can imagine everything that they just got done grinding off the floor was still sitting on my driveway, and well, here are the pictures showing you guys what that whole thing looked like. So of course, I hit them up again, said, hey guys, I don't know, why the garage door was left open, but this is what happened. They assured me that, oh, we have a floor buffer that will take care of all that. So once again, while I was gone, they came over, buffed the floor, and here's what that looked like. As you can see, it looks more like a sanding machine was used on the floor instead of a buffing machine. So once again, I was like, guys, I mean, I feel like this is not acceptable. Like, it's not like these are just small imperfections that are happening. It's just the entire floor looks awful. And so once again, they agreed to sand it down and put a 4th coat on. At this time, obviously, when we started this project, it was, the end of summer, so it was still plenty warm enough for epoxy to cure. Now we're running into the fall and the beginning stages of winter. I guess the guys just didn't check the weather for the following night after they did the job, and that night it got down to, below freezing temperatures. And they must have known something was up, because when I got here the next morning, they were already here sanding it back down. So finally, on to attempt number 5, and this is the final attempt. Even though the 4th coat didn't fully cure, they just sanded it and put another coat down quick, and you guys can see obviously major issues with this one as well. So once again, I hit them up and say, guys, this just did not work. It doesn't look very good. You guys can see how it looks right now. Those were the pictures I sent them, and finally they just told me, look dude, we've done this 5 times. Your standards and expectations are simply too high to be achieved. And you guys can imagine I was pretty upset at that, because I'm definitely not an epoxy floor expert. Maybe you guys can have some more insight for me, but I just feel like none of the attempts that were done on this floor so far would live up to any standard at all. Like my expectations were just to have a normal, decent looking floor, something that I could be proud of, show off to all you guys, and have you guys be really stoked for me. And I think if I showed you guys any one of those finishes, you guys would probably laugh at me and claim that I did it myself and did a really bad job. And that's just definitely, that's exactly what I was trying to avoid by hiring a professional instead of doing this myself. I just really wanted something that I could be proud of, something that I was excited to come out here and work in every day, since this is going to be a massive, massive part of the channel and part of my job, my career. It's going to be a massive part for you guys, because you guys are going to have to look at it every day as well. I don't want to have to work in something that I'm just devastated and it makes me sick to look at every day. So finally, we just agreed that they would not be able to live up to my expectations. We were going to part ways, and I was going to have to find an alternative solution to getting this floor done. And so now that kind of leaves me in this predicament where I'm not really sure what to do next, whether I'm going to try my hand and trust somebody else to do it correctly, even though I trusted this person to do it right, and obviously it didn't work out. So it's kind of, you know, making it hard to trust someone else to come and do a good job. Not to mention the work that's gonna have to go into grinding all of this off is going to just, you know, double the price probably that it was gonna cost to get this done. And so the only other solution is to finally just do it myself like I had planned on at the beginning. And you know, there's a good chance that'll happen. It'll make a cool video, and I'm honestly very confident that I would be able to make the floor look exactly how I want to. That's what I should have just done in the first place, but you know, you could never predict that all this was gonna happen. So yeah, I don't know, it's super unfortunate. Hopefully I get it figured out really soon so that I can continue with the barn build. I think I am just gonna actually continue and put the walls up and start doing insulation and electrical and stuff like that. And then whenever I have someone come do it, or when I do it myself, I'll just grind inside the walls, obviously. And the ruined epoxy will just stay behind the walls. You won't see that anyways, it shouldn't create any issues. So yeah, I don't know, hopefully we can get working on this thing soon. I'll obviously have more updates for you guys as it comes, but crazy learning experience, and hopefully, you know, this will help you guys in the future, and hopefully at the end of this thing, we'll have a pretty sweet floor and we can look back and laugh on this someday. No matter how big of a paycheck it took, we should be able to laugh. So sorry that the race shop build videos have been, you know, delayed, but this is why. I didn't want you to think that I was just being lazy and not doing what I said I was gonna do. We actually ran into some problems. So anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching this video. It's kind of a crappy one, but we'll get through it, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.